Okay, so a bit of a different video today. As some of you may know, I play a lot of Gen 9 OU. I go on and off with it. And recently, surprisingly, they announced this TERA BLAST suspect test. Finchinator here, posted on the overused Smogon channel about the blast off. I think that's the 18th suspect test of SVOU, which I think it's more so good than bad that the council are more proactive with bans and suspects and just like regulating the tier itself. But yeah, I was very surprised by this suspect announcement because it's been 4 years of TERA and TERA BLAST. It's become the identity of Gen 9 OU. And even when there was, I think, more discussion around TERA and TERA BLAST being quote-unquote broken or unhealthy earlier in the meta, there wasn't, I guess sufficient quorum or reason to actually suspect test it. Obviously 3 years ago we had the TERA suspect test, and that failed to get the supermajority for it to be banned. I didn't get the suspect test at that time, but I was glad that it didn't get banned because I don't think TERA is inherently broken or anything like that. And that is the same viewpoint I have with TERA BLAST itself right now. I feel that, like, from my perspective, the fact that earlier in the meta there was way more discussion on TERA and it still didn't get suspect tested, and it didn't actually get enough reason for it to be suspect tested or banned. Well, and now it is, even though I think there's way less discussion on it. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm completely missing people's complaints and discussions, but I just really don't see anything right now. And also the fact that TERA itself was suspect tested and it didn't get banned, it sort of shows you that it isn't an issue, or at least the majority of the player base don't see it as an issue, don't see it as something that needs to be suspect tested. This feels a bit like Kira being suspect tested like three times in a row and consistently not getting banned. It's like at some point you have to just sort of stop. So from my perspective, I feel like they're doing this. I feel like the suspect test came about more so just to shake up the meta, and because we're nearing the end of Gen 9's life cycle. We're pretty much in Gen 9.5 with Champions OU. Pokemon Winds and Waves was announced, Gen 10, so like it feels like we're at the end of it, and maybe now there is less quorum required to suspect test something, and I feel like it's just to shake things up because Gen 9 OU has been stale for a while. I can't disagree with that, but I don't think that stale means bad, in a bad state. I think OU is actually in a good state right now. I still have my issues because I don't like seeing Zamazenta everywhere. I'd rather see Zamazenta crowned instead of Zamazenta, but I don't think it makes a big of a difference in the grand scheme of things. I still need to actually finish my fucking video on why I genuinely believe Zamazenta crowned would be worse than regular Zamazenta in OU. But yeah, I feel like they're more so doing this just to shake things up, and because they kind of can, and they won't receive much backlash on it, since it's like, oh, okay, well, we might as well test it now, maybe we can let the player base play without TERA until the end of the generation, but like people still want to go back to old metas, and so I don't think removing TERA BLAST for that reason is good. Now, obviously, I could be wrong. Maybe there is genuinely a lot of discussion. Maybe there's genuinely a lot of people complaining about TERA BLAST itself and saying that it should be banned, and I'm just not seeing it. But yeah. But So I did actually get the Rex for this one, you know, better late than never to finally get Rex for a fucking Gen 9 OU, even though I've been playing it for a long time. And I've achieved, like, like these elos before and higher GXCs, but I just never seem to do it in suspect tests. I think, and I also I remember the Palafin suspect test. I got to like 1870 or 18 something, and I had a 78 GXC, and I didn't even lose that many games. But like I lost just enough so that I couldn't get the 80 GXC and I couldn't get the Rex for that. But I got the Rex for this one. Let's actually see it here, yeah. Where there I am. I got it on Power Bow. I don't even know how I came up with that alt. But yeah, I got it on 19th of April at 5:36 a.m. Don't ask me why I was awake at that time. But yeah. And I did it with, actually I'll have the, you know, my suspect games and the team as well that I got it with. But I just wanted to talk about, because I missed putting a comment on the thread. I was gonna sort of give my thoughts on why I think TERA BLAST itself shouldn't be banned and isn't broken or healthy. I already talked about why I think they're doing the suspect test and why I don't think that is a good idea. But yeah, to start off, TERA BLAST itself isn't inherently broken in my opinion. Like, while it is an undeniably strong mechanic, and its presence while it is an undeniably strong mechanic, its presence alone has not pushed it here into an unhealthy state in my opinion. And we've had nearly 4 years, the entire generation, to evaluate it. Like at this point, it's kind of a skill issue if you're not able to play with TERA BLAST or not be able to, you know what to do in certain situations, and that's fine. Like, you just need to play the tier more, and that can be said with a lot of other tiers. Like, you know, how do you deal with Xmon? How do you deal with Spike Stack in Gen 3, or how do you deal with Mega Alakazam in Gen 7, you know? Like, you just play the tier more, you figure out what works and how to beat like X, Y, and Z checks, and yeah. And like I said, despite having a lot of discussion on its impact before, it's never reached a consistent level of sufficient quorum to justify tiering action, it seems. And like I said, Gen 9, TERA BLAST and Terra has become its identity, though that isn't reason for it to not be banned. But what I'm saying is, in Gen 8, Dynamax was its identity, but it only took a month or so for it to be banned and removed quickly from the tier. And the fact that TERA BLAST has persisted throughout Scarlet and Violet without similar consensus suggests that it occupies a different space. Like, it's fundamentally different than Dynamax, and isn't broken or unhealthy like that was, or the majority of the player base didn't think it was, right? And a key point for me is that TERA BLAST is rarely the root cause of the issues people have on Terra and the tier itself. Because when a Pokemon becomes problematic with TERA BLAST, it's usually already problematic. Look at the bulky Terra Fairy Roaring Moon. That bulky fairy set with the TERA BLAST is what got it banned in the end, and you know, it was banned. If a Mon is egregious with Terra and TERA BLAST, then it is egregious without. Now yes, there is Dragonite, and I'll get onto that, but let's be real here. You know, every Mon that has been annoying or whatever with TERA BLAST has already been banned, because it would be broken without TERA BLAST anyways, or it would be egregious without TERA BLAST anyways. Yeah, and like, removing TERA BLAST doesn't meaningfully address the underlying issue in any of those cases. It's the Mon itself. And I think also the frustration that surrounds TERA BLAST stems from issues within the builder and just the demand that it places on your own metagame knowledge, and that's completely fine. But I think a lot of issues people have is, how do I deal with Terra Ghost Gambit? How do I beat Terra Flying Dragonite or Terra Fairy Dragonite? How do I, deal with Terra Ground Iron Moth? Now, regardless, no tier is gonna have a team where it is genuinely able to consistently and reliably always beat everything else in the tier. There's always going to be something. That's just the nature of every single tier. Maybe if you play a game 9 times out of 10, you will deal with it, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes, there's a roll here and there which decides your fate. Your check for maybe your check for Dragonite is fucking, let's say, Pecharunt, and you needed your Pecharunt to take a hit from Ogerpon, and now it's just within range of an EQ from Dragonite, and so. Like, a lot of these issues with TERA BLAST and all things like that, they come from the team builder, and I think a lot of people are complaining while not building good teams for the meta. I'm not the best builder by any means. I'm someone that doesn't even build with I have my own stupid principle of just not wanting to use certain ones. You'll never see me use Zamazenta, you'll never see me use Dragapult, you'll never see me use Clefable or Alamomola. You'll never see me use them. But I can still deal with those with said threats. Some people try to pretend like Zamazenta is the only answer we have to Ogerpon and Dragonite, but I deal with them without. You have Hydrapple for Ogerpon, you have Lando T with Taunt for Dragonite. Both of them together can work against Dragonite. You have Pecharunt for Dragonite. Things like, and there's so many different things, like so many different ways to beat mods. And not everything has to be a defensive check or defensive answer. You can have offensive answers and offensive checks as well. But anyways, while TERA BLAST increases the number of viable sets a Pokemon has, or it amplifies a Pokemon's capability or strength, and you have to play the meta more to deal with it and understand it, and people don't like the argument of metagame knowledge, but this isn't unique to TERA BLAST itself. Previous generations have had similar cases, like the Swiss Army knife that is Dragapult in Gen 8. It was running Dragon Dance Weakness Policy, it was running Naughty Nature Hex Wisp, it was running Specs. Like, it had so many different viable sets, and you had to account for them in Gen 8, and you had to figure out which one you were facing against. And through metagame knowledge and through experience, you're able to look at a team sometimes in preview and understand, oh, okay, this Dragapult is Specs, or this Dragapult is Substitute Hex Wisp. And same goes for Magial Kazama Gen 7. That thing didn't end up getting banned, and it's an absolutely insane one, but the meta learned to deal with it. Now Gen 7 is a special case because the meta is kind of like broken be broken. But I think I think TERA BLAST and the word Terra just puts a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. But if you just replace that with Dragapult and Gen 8, then it is kind of the same. It is practically the same thing. And so I think it just requires a player to adapt and refine their building in response to such threats, and that's a natural part of the competitive metagame. I think that's actually that is something that is unique to Gen 9, which is actually a boon. It is a strength of Gen 9 rather than a weakness, in my opinion. The fact that because also Showdown itself is the most successful there's ever been. You have more players than they've ever been, more players actually playing, and that means more players getting better and more players reaching the average skill category, the above average skill category, the elite skill category, and so you have more people to face, and the skill gap has become higher. And I think that just happens to coincide with the timing of Gen 9. This would have happened with any other gen anyways. If Gen 9 didn't have Terra in it to begin with, then it would still very, very likely be, I think definitely have the highest skill gap, or just have the highest barrier, but it also has the easiest entry barrier at the same time. And I think it's a strength of Gen 9 that TERA makes you, think a lot within the game and plan your routes and develop your lines in a game and figuring out, okay, which one do I need to preserve and what's going to be my win con in this game, so on and so forth. And another important consideration is the broader impact that TERA BLAST has on the tier itself and the broader impact that banning it would have. TERA BLAST is not just a tool for top tier threats. It enables wider range of Pokemon to remain viable or have a chance to actually stand up to and face top tier premier meta threats. This generation is already defined by its high power level. It is the highest power level OU tier we've had, and removing TERA BLAST, in my opinion, risks disproportionately harming lower tier or more niche options while doing relatively little to meaningfully weaken the already strong ones. If you remove TERA BLAST, it's not going to make Dragon Ball that much worse. If you remove TERA BLAST, it's not going to make Dragonite that much worse. It's not going to make Kyurem, DD's Kyurem, that much worse. Compared to something like a Lilligant Hisui with Terra Ghost. What else? I'm trying to think right now. Or like a what mons did I run before? Or like something niche. I mean, there's a bunch of videos from Pokémon and Blunder wherein they showcase, a niche mon or just a actually unviable one doing well in OU or them performing well with it because you can use TERA BLAST. And that is part of Gen 9, that is part of the creativity of Gen 9. As much I'm not a fan of Gen 8, and as much as I don't like that tier, one strength about it, something that I can't deny, is that you could run so many different Pokemon and do well with them on the ladder. Gen 9 isn't the same. Gen 9 has a lot of, I guess, what I call non-negotiable mons or must-haves, or not a specific one per se, but a role. And due to how high the power level is, TERA BLAST allows Pokemon to break into that higher power level and actually compete. If you remove TERA BLAST, you're harming them way more than you're harming the ones that are already good. The ones that are already good will stay good. Trust me, they really will. And yeah, okay, you have the case of, if we remove TERA BLAST, we'll have Volcarona in the tier, we'll have Regieleki in the tier. Okay, cool. But the metagame is infinitely more diverse and creative with TERA BLAST in it than not. I understand people's opinions and thoughts about banning TERA BLAST would freshen the tier up a bit, and it would allow for more different sets to come about, but really that isn't really gonna happen. The mons that are already good without TERA BLAST itself are still gonna be running the same moves. Kingambit's still gonna be good, Zamalanda's still gonna be good, Iron Valiant's still gonna be good. Banning TERA BLAST isn't gonna make them worse at all. But it's gonna cause those high power mons to just diff those mons that are only competing or viable because of TERA BLAST. It's just gonna knock them out of the OU landscape completely. And while yes, the tier will have a bit of a resurgence in the start, it'll only be for a brief period of time, and quickly, soon enough, it will reach another stale state, which is what we're in right now. Soon enough, it's going to reach a stale state where the top tier mons are going to be running the same moves, the same sets, and you're going to see the same mons on the same teams, and it isn't going to actually be beneficial to the tier in the long term, in my opinion, of course. I don't believe banning TERA BLAST would lead to a healthier long-term metagame, and like I said, despite it's definitely gonna be creating short-term shifts, the underlying power level of SVOU would remain, and the tier would likely settle into a centralized state with fewer creative options available. I think the meta would be more centralized. It would be over-centralized without TERA BLAST than with it. And for all of these reasons, I believe TERA BLAST is a manageable, is a not broken, not unhealthy part of the SVOU metagame, and therefore I already voted do not ban, and I hope that most people vote do not ban as well, because I don't want to see this happen to the tier. It's like, I think if OU does remove Terra, then TERA BLAST, and actually wait, that's the thing as well. It's TERA BLAST, right? So those mons that are already doing well without TERA BLAST but doing well with Terra would just be the same. You'd still see the Terra Ghost Valiant with boosted Shadow Ball, Terra Steel Valiant. You still see Terra Steel Zamazenta with Heavy Slam. You still see Terra Fire Zamazenta with Wisp. You'd still see Dragonite running Fairy because it's good Terra anyways. Same thing for Gambit. Gambit has so many different Terras and it doesn't have to run TERA BLAST with them anyways. Oh, I don't like it when my King Gambit. I don't like it when my check to King Gambit dies to TERA BLAST Flying. Your check to King Gambit will still die to TERA BLAST, to Terra Flying Gambit, even without fucking TERA BLAST Flying. King Gambit Flying would still beat Zamazenta in a lot of cases. It really isn't. It really isn't like such a different thing. It's not going to be drastic in a good way to prevent it from using TERA BLAST. It's still going to beat Zamazenta with Terra Fairy. Just kowtow Ironhead or kowtow Low Kick. Terra Flying, kowtow Ironhead, kowtow Low Kick. Right? Now, yes, Dragonite is a different case. I do think Dragonite is borderlining that broken sort of barrier, and I really am interested to see how what the results would be if we had a Dragonite TERA BLAST suspect test. And I also don't know what I would vote, to be honest. Not TERA BLAST suspect test, Dragonite suspect test, because though I play against it sometimes and I'm like, oh, okay, you know what, I can actually deal with that. Actually more recently, within the past the past 2-3 months, I've been very very good at dealing with Dragonite, even with teams that don't have like 3 answers to it or whatever. Like, I think just playing the game has made me understand more as to which Dragonite set I'm going to be facing. What is this Dragonite set in front of me? This one is on Hazard Stack, it's probably going to be the Detail set. This one is on, I don't know, some HO, which makes it seem like it's Terra Fairy, bulky. Covert Cloak is a hard one to discern, but if you see it takes rocks and you don't see it take lefty, and you don't see lefties healing, then you know it's Covert Cloak. But yeah, like, I do agree that there is something to be said about Dragonite itself, but again, like I said earlier, that says more about the Mon than TERA BLAST itself. If the Mon is egregious without TERA BLAST, I mean, okay, I'll concede that Dragonite without TERA BLAST would be very, very, like, manageable, very easy to deal with. Since it doesn't have, good flying stab. Dual wing beat, but yeah. Does that do wing beat? I think so. Anyways. That is a different case, but even then, it isn't fully broken in my opinion. I don't think it's, I think it borderlines, and I don't think borderlining on one mon is enough to warrant a ban or a suspect on TERA BLAST itself. But anyways, I rambled a lot. you should be seeing my suspect games. I laddered with a HO team made by someone who I will cut to their forum post right now, but actually wait, yeah, this is just the thread itself. I will link the thread. I think I already showed, stuff, and there is a lot of discussions on here from pro players to just, regular ladder players that you see always topping the meta and whatnot. And I think, there was a lot of good discussion. There is this thread, and there is there's this thread, and then there is also the thread which is specifically for the people who already qualified for the suspect. Let me find it. I know Storm Zone posted something here. Yeah, here. This is the qualified thread discussion. I also was too late in messaging here, but yeah, a lot of good discussion. I went through all of it because I don't know, I find it pretty interesting, and it's cool to hear what top players think. I think, yeah, Fusian is the last to post a very, very detailed and thorough explanation of why they also believe TERA BLAST isn't ban-worthy. And I think the timing of them posting this as well is, going to significantly impact a lot of people's decisions, because I think he brings a lot of good comments to light. Oh, there aren't the last person to speak on it, but let me see. I think they are the last person. Yeah, they are, because these are just replies, but yeah. Anyways, let's cut to the team that I used. I can't believe how hard I blanked. Otis here literally was in a lot of the discussions to do with the TERA BLAST suspect test, and they gave their thoughts as well. I can't believe I forgot that they literally were the ones that I took the team from. Yeah, they posted this Nasty Blood Deoxys speed plus double fighting coverage goes to Webb's team that peaked 9 on the ladder, 1970 plus elo, which is pretty fucking sick. I love Araquanid in this meta. I think my best finishes. I think my peak in SVOU is with Araquanid with my Scarf Glamora team. But yeah, they had this team. Just pure HO with a especially bulky Araquanid, my favorite sort of Araquanid, though they don't have Mirror Coat on it. I don't run Endure on mine because I find that getting into cast up range is pretty easy, especially considering that a lot of things in the tier naturally get you within cast up range, like a booster or energy raging bolt, and things like that. And I like having a Mirror Coat for things like a Walking Wake or whatever, or a Goldengo even. And yeah, they have this modest Goldengo with actually with like the spread that I like a lot, which is just faster than Dragonite because you're at 260 speed, and then modest. And like Goldengo is just the god on Webb's team. Like, it really is often the best mon, not even just spin blocking, but just so good at breaking on Webb's teams as well. And they have Raging Bolt. I love my neck is my favorite Paradox mon, I think. With Terra Bug, which is really interesting, but it came in handy a lot of times against Tusk in the end game and things like that. And then I have Iron Valiant, which is modest, a very greedy set, but it was so good. Like, I've used Timid, Booster, Energy, Calm Mind, Shadow Ball, Ghost Valiant a lot, but the modest really does make the difference into Glow Kings and Goldengos and things like that, which is nice. And the Vacuum Wave is really good against King Gambits and anything you just want to pick off. And then they have a Ceruledge with a Poltergeist-less Ceruledge, which I'm still undecided on whether I like this more or Poltergeist more. On this team it was pretty good. It came in handy a lot of times, though I couldn't help but feel that Poltergeist would have been handy in a lot of other situations, but regardless, it's really good. With Focus Ash, Terra Grass, and Adamant Nature. The Adamant really makes makes fighting into a lot of the harder matchups for this team, you know, just a bit more manageable. And then Deoxys Speed, which is, oh my god, I did not realize how insane Nasty Plot Life Orb is. Like, this thing hits everything in the meta. Psycho Boost is obviously insanely strong. You can even 2 KO Hatterene with it, even though it resists. Ice Beam for Landos and Dragonites. Focus Blast for King Gambits and Tyrannitars, and Terra Fighting for that as well. I think they made it so that you can actually go Tyranitar, like max HP Tyranitar with Terra Blast, with Terra Fighting, Focus Blast, Life Orb Deoxys before you set up. So that was really cool. And here is a team that I used. I kept everything the same, except I think it was just this. Yeah, the Deoxys Speed, I changed it to Superpower and I put some EVs into attack so it can always go max HP Tyranitar Superpower, just because it's more reliable than Focus Blast and it's still good into King Gambit as well. I also made it faster than Scarf Golden Goes, which came in handy sometimes because, you know, I needed to get like the necessary chip on Golden Goes so that I can then kill it with something else. But yeah, it was a really fun team. I messaged them, you know, with my thoughts on it and thanking them for essentially essentially being the reason that I got my Rex, because I got it with this team. And just talking about you know, what I think the toughest matchups were into the team. Obviously Stall is a tough matchup with the team. You basically have to get all of your reads right with Deoxys Speed to win the Stall matchup. If you don't, then you just lose. Thankfully I didn't fight too many Stall teams. But yeah, shout out to Otis here. Thank you for the team. But yeah, that's the end of the video. If any of you, you know, qualified for the suspect test or care about the OU tier or interested in it or just found this to be interesting as a video, then, you know, I'm glad to hear it. Let me know your thoughts as well. You know, whether you agree with me, whether you disagree with me, if you voted or what you would have voted if you had gotten Rex or anything like that. And yeah, I think it makes for a really great discussion. But yeah, that is the end of the video. They fucking banned it. They fucking banned it. I was gonna get this video out today or yesterday, and I was like, no, it's fine. I have today to do it. They're not gonna announce it. I didn't see the message of them saying, oh yeah, we're gonna announce it to fucking day. And I thought that it was like 66% for the super majority. Turns out it was 60%, and ban got 61% votes. Oh, and you know, they unbanned Regieleki. Woohoo, cool. I don't really care. Volcarona, I don't really care. That one's always pissed me off anyways. Just fighting it. And now fighting it with Terra, even if it's not going to get access to TERA BLAST, it's still going to be a pain in the ass. But Roaring Moon though, you know, I like that guy. That might be like the only reason that I play OU now, just because I get to use Roaring Moon, one of my favorite Terramons. But yeah. See you never, OU. And curse you, Finchinator! Okay, it's not Finchinator's fault. That just felt like I had to say that. I think I got what I need to get out of my chest. I'm gonna go bang my head in the wall now.